The FIFA World Cup, held in Qatar this year, had a total of 8 stadiums. One of these was built with a shipping container that could be changed, like in the Transformer movies. Another is a big tent, but out of all 8 venues, only one will remain intact after the football showcase. Plus, they are certainly eye-catching. Like all the air hostesses, visitors are sure to meet on the inbound flights. Welcome. Looks like you've made it. In today's video, you'll learn about the innovations that went into building the stadiums for the Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup. We don't mind the price. So, we'll tell you guys straight up, it cost the Qatari government a whopping $220 billion to host the World Cup, as is comparable to the 2006 World Cup held in Germany, which was a modest $4.3 billion. You might argue that the figure arose because of the recession, and that the price of nuts and bolts skyrocketed due to the pandemic, yada yada yada. In reality though, building the new stadiums only cost $7 to $10 billion. Most of that humongous sum went into building infrastructure to support the proper functioning of the extravaganza. So, what was it exactly? It's not like the World Cup needed flying buses. Most of the stadiums built for the World Cup are within a 21-mile radius of the city center. So metro and tram systems were built from scratch to ferry fans between venues. This meant a fan could watch more than one game in one day at 2 different venues. And so that's how Infantino, the FIFA president, did it. He was spotted in the VIP section of the 2 different stadiums on the same day. Moreover, each stadium was fitted with solar panel air cooling systems to keep the inside temperature stable at 27 degrees. By the way, this is one of those innovations we said we could mention. It's a great one because instead of using power from the national electricity grid to cool the stadium, lots of solar panels were utilized. How ironic, you might say, the sun being used in that way to cool off. So this added considerably to the budget, which are the home and away stadiums. Since all 8 stadiums are built in Doha, only one can assume the enviable spot of a home stadium for the local team once the tournament is over. Now, wait for it. The other 7 stadiums will either be changed. Okay, this is some crazy stuff, but you heard it correctly. Seats from 6 of these World Cup stadiums will be taken out and sent to developing countries to upgrade their own stadiums. At least 22 other football grounds worldwide would benefit from this gesture. And one of the 8 stadiums will be dismantled like in the Transformer movies. More on this later. To the ultimate venue, the biggest stadium is also where the series of final matches were held. No surprise there because it seats 80,000 fans. Foster & Partners, a British architectural firm started by Norman Foster, designed it. This guy designed such iconic buildings as the London Bullet Building and Apple Park in the US. Remember the building that looks like a circle or a disc, which is the Apple headquarters? Yes, that one. Norman and his guys designed it, so this Norman guy knows his stuff. He's also in the eco-friendly buildings, so designing the Qatar World Cup's flagship stadium was up his alley. The stadium was barely completed and opened in the same tournament year, so it was very much behind schedule. But whatever the case, it didn't throw up any incidents during its test run, thank goodness. However, as mentioned, most of its seats will be given away to some other stadiums in developing countries. Is that a tent stadium? Part of the Qatari culture includes the nomadic Beit al-Sharar people, so there you go. It's why the Al Bayt Stadium was built like a 200 square meter tent. It seats 60,000 people and hosts the opening and closing ceremonies. 9 matches in total were played there. It was also designed to represent Arabian hospitality, like when your favorite Shah invites you into his tented den to have some Arabian tea. Now here's the good part. It has a retractable roof, almost like a giant drop-top sports car. This is so the inside temperature of the stadium can be regulated. It is also the farthest stadium in the Doha city center. But that poses no problem because you can enjoy a staycation if you want. A 5-star hotel and adjoining shopping center have been set up nearby in case you don't want to make the longer than normal trip back to the city. A stadium for sailors. The Al Janoub Stadium has a futuristic design that borrows from the Dhow boats, which are indigenous to Qatar. You might notice that the stadium design mimics the sails of this type of boat. Even more, the stadium just so happens to have been built in a coastal city, so everything ties in. Talk about inspiration. It also has a retractable roof and a cooling system so the stadium can be used all year round. The famous Zaha Hadid architectural firm had a hand in its design. The stadium was completed in May 2019, and when images of the stadium were first released on social media, commentators joked that it looked like a female's privates. But more seriously, it has a capacity of 40,000 seats, so get your mind out of the gutter, please. Add a shipping container stadium too. Still on the topic of the high seas, Stadium 974 was built by incorporating 974 shipping containers in its design. That's also where its unique numerical name comes from. And this definitely is a first for FIFA World Cup venues. However, here's a clue to how the design idea was conceived. It's simple, really, because there's a shipping port nearby. So it is a waterfront venue with a spectacular view of the Dohan skyline. The stadium itself is also quite a colorful and contemporary beauty to behold. Unfortunately, the stadium can and will be dismantled soon after the World Cup. After all, its compartments and modular design were put together in such a way as to be upcycled. Fenwick Urban Architects came up with its transformer design. Did you know that 974 is the Qatari International Dialing Code? Diamond stadiums are forever. The facade of the Education City Stadium is like a rough-cut diamond gem. It even glows at night, but you need to see it glisten during the daytime as the sun passes overhead. After the World Cup, it will become home to the Qatari female national team. It will also be stripped down to include lecture rooms. The world-renowned Qatari Foundation situated within the Education City. The stadium will also be nicknamed Diamond in the Desert. And for your info, diamonds represent quality, durability, and resilience. These are qualities patrons in and around Education City can literally treasure as they progress into the future. After all, it's diamonds we're talking about here. Kick the ball and rep your country. The Ahmed bin Ali Stadium has an intricate metal facade that highlights many things about the Qatari nation. It is described as an ornamental stadium located on the eastern edges of Doha. Everything has been put into this facade, from sand dunes to the local flora and fauna to abstract stuff like family values or the Qatari trading tradition. The metalwork borrows from a Qatari artistic style called Nask. The host city is called Al Rayyan, and the stadium once had this same name until it was changed to the Ahmed bin Ali Stadium. Ramboli, a design firm from the UK, is its builder. Let's cap it off, shall we? The kafia is a traditional woven cap worn by men and boys across the Middle East, and the design of the Al Tumama Stadium was inspired by it. If you don't know what a kafia is, just look at the pictures of the stadium, and you could Google it too. The kafia cap is an integral part of the male attire in the Middle Eastern region. When worn on the head as it's supposed to, it symbolizes dignity and independence. Any man might very well feel like he's a king of his own area. Qatari architect Ibrahim Al-Jadiyah designed the stadium. It has a somewhat perforated design that guards against the sun and a solar-powered air cooling system. It seats 40,000, but after the World Cup is over, half of those will be removed and transferred to stadiums in developing nations. Beyond that, the stadium grounds will be refitted with shopping areas, a sports clinic, and even a boutique hotel. In short, the stadium, or what's left of it, will become a community hub to ensure that it remains a hive of activity. Now here's some pedigree to go. The Al Khalifa Stadium was built in 1976. It is originally the national stadium of Qatar. This stadium had to undergo some renovations for the World Cup. A vast canopy was added to the double arches. The canopy also houses the new cooling system. 12,000 seats were also added to increase its capacity to 40,000. Plus, a new LED lighting system was installed to update the looks. And that's it. And finally, in our YouTube football game, there are only 3 rules. Subscribe, like, and tackle that notification bell so that we can see you again in the next video.